personality type tools are something that I'll speak about in a little while. And they're just one kind of tool that helps us to understand ourselves better. But there's a lot of value in understanding your own personality type and understanding who you are. So as I say, that's just one kind of tool you can use. If I refer to an old Latin saying, which is temet nosce, which is know thyself, it's become more important than ever to actually embrace that phrase, because the world is faster, it's noisier, it's busier than it's ever been. Everyone's telling you how you should do things, what you should do, who you should be. And so the value of understanding yourself and understanding your personality type has become more important than ever. Just to highlight some of the things or some of the points that emphasize the value of understanding yourself. Learn to understand how we process situations and information and why we do what we do, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, what are our dynamics like in our relationships with other people and why are they the way that they are. Get along better with some people more than others, and sort of what are the things that are actually at a deeper level important to you and that actually add value to your life. So those are just some of the reasons why it's incredibly valuable to know your personality type. And then also I mentioned earlier the kinds of personality tools that you could use. There's so many in the market. So you get things like the Rorschach, the Inkblot tests. There's something that's used in organizations, which is social styles. And then there have been other different ones like animal personality types. From a personal perspective, there have been 2 personality assessments or personality tests, whichever you want to call it, that have been deeply impactful on a personal level. The first one was kind of in 2017 while I was pursuing studies, and this is a test that was done in a career context, focused on personal leadership. That one used 4 colors that determined what your traits were, and it said that we possess all of these traits just in different extents. So it was a lot more holistic, and they used colors like blue and green and yellow and red. So it just depends on what your outcome was, to what degree you will actually possess. The MyersBriggs personality assessment, which is the 16 personalities, gave me insight from a more holistic and an overall kind of perspective and context. And that focuses on the introversion, extroversion kind of spectrum. The outcome for me there was the INFJ-T kind of trait, which is the advocate personality type. The letters stand for different things. So I is for introverted, the N is for intuitive, the F is for feeling, and then the J is for judging. And then the last T, which is hyphenated, that's turbulence. So you could have an assertive or a turbulent personality type. When you do your assessment, you get your overview, and then you get a breakdown of kind of your strengths, your weaknesses, what are career prospects for you, what are your relationships like, whether it's romantic relationships, your friendships. Those are all the kinds of detail that you can look at when you do something like a personality assessment to help you understand yourself a bit better. It's very important to understand your colleagues beyond just, we work together and we share an office space together. So when you understand who your colleagues are at a deeper level than just who show up at the same place every day, you're able to leverage each other's strengths and abilities, and you can then make the workplace a better environment than what it could ordinarily be. And then from an engagement perspective and an interaction perspective, as I mentioned, understanding each other in the workplace is very important. It's important for career growth, because part of your career growth is that you have to have a level of emotional intelligence to be able, whether you're climbing the corporate ladder or you're going in a different direction. It's very important to have emotional intelligence in engaging with others and also in managing yourself. We interact with each other in different ways. So when we understand our colleagues and we understand what they're about, then we learn to communicate with them a lot better, and we build a better working relationship with them. And one of the very important things that I often notice in organizations is it's important to understand other people's boundaries. So it's important to take time to learn what people like and what they don't necessarily like. So for example, some people work better in noise versus quiet and vice versa. Some people need quiet office space so that they're able to focus and analyze things and think through things versus a very vibey kind of office environment. It comes across quite a lot in organizations is hugs versus handshakes versus no contact at all. So it's very important to understand where people's boundaries lie, because you could, if you're a hugger, if I'm a hugger and I'm trying to, impose myself on you, it actually tarnishes the relationship. When you understand your colleagues, it can often lead to fewer misunderstandings. So if someone's body language is a certain way, so if my colleague they talk to me like this, it's not necessarily that they're being antagonistic, or it's just that the way that they are. They may just naturally not open up to people, but they're having the conversation and giving information and engaging. So it's just about, when you understand them, okay, that's how they normally stand and it's comfortable with their arms crossed. Those are all the kinds of things that can lead to misunderstandings. And the more that we understand the person on the other end, and not just their personality type, but what they might be going through, what their personal life is like, it also makes a big impact. Businesses need the diversity of their people now more than ever. I mean, it's been quite turbulent times, and there's been these major recent global changes. A lot of businesses have been experiencing gaps, right? And these gaps can be due to a number of reasons. But I'm going to focus specifically on understanding your people, especially in the personality type context. To address these kinds of gaps without increasing overheads, because businesses can't afford to spend more money in a time like this, and where the climate is quite turbulent. I'd suggest businesses start looking at their people quite differently. So look at your people as being valuable versus being cogs in a wheel. So they're not disposable, or just something that comes to work and does what they need to do and they go home. They bring everything else with them, and they show up with their talents and their skills and their life experience and all of that. Business leaders should also look beyond what they've strictly hired people to do and kind of see how they can leverage people's natural strengths in their business. It's not conventionally done in businesses, because people, business leaders will look at, this is what I need right now. I need a body to come and do that. And they hire someone and they get someone in the job. And that's, unless someone grows out of that job, that's kind of what the situation is. So there's kind of two suggestions. First is kind of reassess how people were hired and placed. And this is like the prime time to do that, right? Because as I said, the world has changed, and so business requirements in turn have then changed. So if you look at the personality type, the introvert-extrovert scale, right? You can look at what are some of your more extroverted people doing. So could they be better suited in a role? So if somebody's perhaps working in a back office environment, right? But they could be someone that could be more of the face of your company. They may be a fantastic social media person. And then look at, do you have some people in your workforce that are more introverted? And they're doing a different kind of work. Perhaps they're in the sales team, which tends to be more client focused, but they might be better suited to doing something like business metrics and analytics, which is something you really, really need in this day and age. Because if we're not doing metrics and measurements in businesses, it is a huge gap for us. Looking at that kind of value that your people can add based on their natural abilities and natural inclinations. Doing a reassessment like this, it can be swift, it can be at no cost. As you know, the assessments can be free, and it can be low effort. So if you use, for example, the free personality assessment tools that are online, each person can complete it in about 10 minutes a person. And from that, if you gather that kind of information, you can create individual or team profiles of your people. If I leverage these strengths and I get, that kind of information, if I can draw that from my people, those are the ways that I increase bottom line and ensure sustainability. Because again, if you rebuild the trust and you engage your people, they're more likely to stay around, they grow with the business. So it's just kind of one way to look at how you can add value to the business through your people. And then I mentioned there was a second way. So often we find in businesses that the same voices are heard providing the same insights, the same ideas, and that can end up leaving the business stale. So it's almost like recycling the same information. So when you have new voices, you're able to get different viewpoints, you learn to access untapped opportunities, and you learn new ways to improve. So it becomes a broader base of opportunity for the business, right? So one example of how a business could do that in meetings and collaborative sessions is to do something that I call split brainstorming. People tend to generate ideas differently, right? Because we have different personality types, different abilities, we generate ideas differently. So some like to interact and engage and, be highly kind of, bounce off other people and get ideas. Whereas other people work differently and they prefer quiet thinking. So they like to be inside their heads, generate some ideas, and then from there, once they feel more prepared, they're able to share easier. So that split brainstorming provides that kind of opportunity for both people who like high engagement and people that like the quiet thinking time. So try and get that kind of balance. And then in that way, you can then maximize the value and the ideas that you get from your people.